1, 2, 3, 4.
There are times I wonder if I'm really alone. There are times I wonder if I'm true. There are times when I feel alone and I'm full roam. There are times I feel alone with you. You are enough of you. And there's always a love for you.
My sexual orientation is queer.
My sexual orientation is kind of complicated. I identify as, I guess, the polyamorous homo-romantic.
My sexual orientation is queer, so really just humans.
I'm pansexual, panromantic as well, but I definitely am more romantically attracted to feminine as center people.
Pansexual.
My sexual orientation is queer.
My sexual orientation is gay. It used to be queer, but then it seemed like I just wasn't really cool enough to be queer anymore. Because I got old and I have kids now, and I'm just married to a dude. So now I just say gay.
I identify as queer.
My sexual orientation is queer. Just big old queer.
My sexual orientation is kind of fluid in a sense. My partner is transmasculine, but I'm also interested in female bodied folk and other such folk as well.
I think my identity is intersect because I wouldn't have ever come out as a gender without being queer first, and being around that environment and being around that like loving and caring and compassionate environment, I would have never felt comfortable. So that's how they intersect.
So as far as like my gender identity and sexuality intersecting, I guess I find that I run into a lot of problems when I sleep with people who don't identify as female, because it kind of confuses me. Because I don't know, I guess I found like a shelter almost in like identifying as lesbian, and then I kind of explored more into my gender, and even like as I've explored into my gender, I find that I'll only come back to like females, people who identify as female, and I'm not sure why. Yeah.
I guess so. My gender and sexual orientation kind of intersect. I guess being queer, identify as queer, and I guess trans falls underneath that umbrella. So, sort of.
That's hard to say. I do find that my gender does fluctuate based on the gender of those I'm around. And that's not to say that if I'm around more feminine people, I'll be more masculine. I'm just a empathetic person, so my energy naturally shifts, and hyper empathy combined with gender fluidity creates a pretty unpredictable experience for me, both sexually, platonically, and romantically.
After I transitioned, I kind of dove into the world of queer, and before that, I was just quote-unquote cis male. Like, I was always in straight relationships and definitely didn't do anything queer at all anything queer. So when I did transition, automatically I was just in this world, and ever since I found that the relationships that I do wind up with are significantly more genuine and a lot more rewarding, and just I've never dated better than now. Like
I think my gender and sexual orientation do intersect.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I was always taught that sort of like gender and sexual orientation are two separate and parallel tracks that never touch. That's not at all been my experience. When I knew that I was trans, I knew that I wanted to be with men. I mean, I've always been with men, but part of how I learned I was trans is because I wanted to be with men as a man. I did not want to be with men as a straight woman. And so that I feel like they sort of intersect, they sort of play with each other, they do a little special dance. Yeah, so I feel like they've always been inextricably linked.
So I think my gender and sexuality intersect in that I identify as queer in my sexuality, and also I feel queer in my gender presentation. Yeah.
I thought about this question for a little bit, and it's really hard to answer. I really try to be conscious about being visible in the queer community and not being seen as cis or het, and it's really challenging because I do have passing privilege, and I also hate the term passing because nobody should have to pass. They should just be who they are, and people should accept that, but we unfortunately live in a society that it's one or the other. And I think with my sexuality, I don't go and date cis het women. I try to avoid that, so when I have interactions with those types of people, they automatically read me as a gay man, which is fine if they're not going to hit on me. I try to date within the queer community, and that's with people that identify as queer or pansexual, anything along that spectrum. So I guess I'm still learning how they intersect, and I don't know how they intersect, and it's a process. So I have a counselor.
I would say to a degree that they do. I use my gender identity in a way to kind of define my sexuality in a new model. So a lot of my comfortability comes within my sense of self and my sexuality, and then my gender as well as the way I present myself in the online community.
My gender affects my romantic and sexual relationships because I've only been with one person since I've been out as agender, and it's kind of a struggle a little bit because I forget my pronouns, and I'm very femme and they're very not. So it's kind of hard.
My gender hasn't really affected my current relationship that much. We were dating for years before I started transitioning, and still together, so I don't know. It's definitely shapes the way our relationship I guess seems in public. It's kind of frustrating because we're both queer and we get assumed all the time that we're a straight couple, so that's annoying, getting excluded from queer spaces sometimes and stuff. But we're both pretty obviously queer if you know us. So.
I just ended a 3-year relationship, and I have entered the dating world as a genderqueer for the first time. And it's really weird. It's like I'm a insecure teenager all over again. You know, it took me 23 years how to figure out to be a cute girl, and now it's like I have to go through this weird thing all over again, where it's like, you know, do they think I'm a lesbian? Do they think I'm a trans man? What are their expectations? So it's just been weird.
As a transgender woman, I'm very upfront with people right from the beginning. I just tell people who I am, and honestly, anybody who wouldn't be down with that, just doesn't fit the picture at all. As far as romantic relationships, I'm just way more open now. I share a lot more of myself. I'm not nearly as guarded, and I'm a lot more vulnerable whenever I am with somebody, a lot more than I was before. So I would say that before I transitioned, every time I dated somebody, I was holding back and had a secret and shared just the least amount of information possible. I didn't make genuine connections before that. That's not to say that the relationships I had before weren't valid. It's just that those people unfortunately never got all of me. And it wasn't their fault. I mean, I was just hiding and I was terrified and I didn't want anybody to know. So as a result, I wound up in tons of relationships where people were just like, we've been dating forever and I don't know you. So ever since then, I've made it a point to make sure that people I am with do know me now, including friends and family and acquaintances. Anyone I meet, I'm just an open book and just put my heart out there all the time. If I do that, I found that by being vulnerable and living vulnerably, it helps me get the kind of people I want in my life.
My gender has spiced things up with romantic and sexual relationships. It's made it a little scary at times, but for my own fear.
Well, I only have one romantic and sexual relationship now, and so I don't know that my gender and sexual orientation affects my primary relationship or my exclusive relationship. Other than, I think he's not trans, he's just like a regular old gay dude. Do not tell him that I said that. He's very special. But in terms of he's not trans. Other than we had some stuff to figure out in the beginning, and I think one of the things that comes up for us is that for me, I was socialized as a woman. I was socialized female. So some things come up that are just complete mysteries to him. Like, it's still really hard, even after being with him for more than 6 years, it's still hard for me to say I don't like something that's happening or I want to try or do something different. I was not taught to do or say those things, and sometimes those words still get stuck in my throat, and I have to really examine what's coming up for me. And it's like, oh, if I tell a man that I don't like what he's doing, then maybe I could get punished, or he won't want to be with me anymore, which is so profoundly stupid in terms of actual reality. But I can't seem to rewrite some of those very early scripts, and that's very confusing for him. So I think that's the biggest way it comes up. And then prior to being with him, I was with a lot of stupid people who were super mean to me because I didn't think that I deserved any better. I didn't have any models for how trans men could be in relationships with other dudes in a nice, healthy, symbiotic way where you are both getting something equal out of the relationship. I was just grateful that they wanted to be with me at all, and so it meant that I dealt with a lot of bullshit that I probably shouldn't have in retrospect.
When I first came out as queer, before I was still presenting in a female way, I only dated trans men immediately, like 3 in a row, and then that's when I kind of started to come into my own gender identity. So it was really interesting the way that it kind of started to manifest in that way. And so now, being with someone who identifies as mostly cis female, and then I'm kind of coming into my own gender identity as a trans masculine person.
How my gender affects my romantic and intimate and sexual relationships is I have to learn my body all over again because I am on hormones, and that's been really challenging. Before I started hormones, I was in a really, really bad place for about 9 months, and I unfortunately lost a really, really valuable relationship that could have been a friendship, but I was really depressed. And before I started hormones, that really affected me, and I lost this person, and they want no contact with me. And because of losing that relationship, I started putting in the work into realizing, like, how do I want to, like, be a partner for somebody or for multiple people. And I'd say since my transition, my romantic and intimate relationships have gotten substantially better. So, yeah.
In the past, I don't think it really affected that much because when I lived in the East Coast, there wasn't this type of dynamic to be genderqueer or queer. I mean, it wasn't a big thing over there. And when I moved to Seattle, I feel like I really had the opportunity to learn about myself, and it's caused me to have actually better romantic and sexual relationships with people because I feel more comfortable to like 100% be myself. So if anything, I think that now that I really identify as this person and I'm very strong and confident about it, I think romantic and relationship-wise, it's been extremely helpful, especially when it comes to people that I'm dating. I have a much more broader perspective and am more open to things that I would have never been open to before.
Thanks for tuning in to Season 2 of Roman Gender. Click the link in the description to grab one of our queerest t-shirts. If you'd like to get involved with Roman Gender, you can apply at www.romangender.com. Tune in every Thursday for another episode, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Visit our channel to check out my top surgery fundraising video. I'm having surgery December 8th, so be sure to share with your friends and donate if you can. Thanks for the support. We love you.